Happening behind the scenes. Anyway, the scramble for control of the Northern Kenya voting bloc is now at fever pitch, with leaders from the region currently strategizing on how to raise their stakes ahead of 2022 elections. Several factions have emerged, taking different positions, a move that is threatening to split that region. Just how crucial is this voting bloc for presidential candidates? Our political affairs reporter Jeff Kirui interrogates that.
As the August 9th, 2022 general election draws closer, efforts to solidify the pastoralist voting bloc are in top gear, with Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani leading the efforts through the new outfit of Upya, Kenya. The movement stormed Moyale, Marsabit County in its first popularization drive.
Our regions have been, for a long time, have been an appendage of many agendas, political agenda. It's not going to happen anymore. We want to be part of the discussion. We want to be on the agenda. We want to articulate our position in as far as our welfare is concerned.
Wakati wa siasa ni wakati wa kuungana pia, ili kesho pia tukikaa kwa meza tunaweza pata haki yetu.
We will speak with one voice, and that voice is called Upya. The leader of our Upya is Ambassador Balozi Ukur Yatani.
The Director of Public Prosecutions, Nurdin Haji, who accompanied the CS calling for the unity of the people following clan clashes threatening Marsabit town.
Sisi kama mandugu na watu ambao tumetoka jamii moja na tunakaa pamoja, kama tumeamua ya kwamba tunakuja na mwelekeo upya kama hiyo wamesema ndugu zangu wanasiasa, basi tushikane ili tuweze kuleta undugu, si ndio? Na maendeleo.
The stakes for control of the region already creating a vicious contest, as the current governor of the county, Mohamud Ali, has joined forces with Mandera Governor Ali Roba to acquire the United Democratic Movement Party. Governor Mohamud is seeking to retain his seat against an onslaught from CS Yatani, as Governor Roba hopes to rally the pastoralists behind UDM and ultimately secure a slot in the negotiating table after his final term comes to an end next year.
For sure, my party of tomorrow will be a party that I have a stake in, and that will be a party that I and other leaders from Northern Kenya will be able to have a voice.
Governor wenu Mohamud ndio deputy yake, na tumekuwa tunaongoza hiyo chama vizuri, hiyo FCDC. We will provide leadership.
The Upya movement has thrown its weight behind the handshake duo of President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga, as sources say Roba and his team could be warming up to Deputy President William Ruto's win.
We know our friends, but we are also very keen because we know who is not our friend. Whoever is not our friend, we know him and we'll never follow him.
The political direction we are taking is none other than that of President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and his partner in handshake, Raila Amolo Odinga.
To bolster his political onslaught, CS Yatani would join the ambassador of Japan, Horie Roichi, in commissioning 5 classrooms constructed at the cost of 8.3 million shillings by the Embassy of Japan at Goloba Primary School in Moyale Sub-County.
I have working with him for more than 30 projects, which I signed agreement with him. So, Ukur Yatani, thank you very much for your cooperation.
The embassy further donating 30,000-litre water storage tanks to ensure pupils get access to clean water.
The quest for political survival begins in earnest here in Marsabit County, pitting Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Ukur Yatani and County Governor Mohamud Ali, who are both seeking their second term in gubernatorial post come the 2022 general election. Jeff Kirui, KTN News, Moyale, Marsabit County.
Very interesting pictures there from the northeastern region, seeing a cabinet secretary, the deputy, the director of public prosecutions, speaking on a campaign platform. But the bigger picture, the region of voting as a bloc, it's never been that obvious. It's a headache for every presidential candidate getting the northeastern region to vote for you as a bloc, or even the arid and semi-arid areas. If we were to talk about areas like Turkana, even Lamu and all those other neighboring counties that make the ASL counties. But what do you make of this alliance that is coming out now? Is it a bit too early? They're declaring their support already. The CS, of course, as expected, declaring support for his boss.
Well, I think there's a question a lot of politicians are asking themselves, and there's a reality that I think every Kenyan needs to be aware of. Number one, there's the reality of retiring governors, and what will they do with their time? And then there's and their clout, I must add. Then there's the reality that a lot of politicians, and perhaps as a lesson from Deputy President William Ruto, are looking to create fiefdoms of their own, where they do not want to be members of a political party, where they feel there is an almost oligarchical hierarchy that it's held lock, stock and barrel by one person, and they're looking, like Moses Kuria is looking, to create an independent entity outside of UDA by which he can have his own local standing within the ambit of UDA, or whichever way he will go. And it is similar in the coast, it is similar in the ASL regions, because I think what is happening now is that the regional conversation, the question of we as people in Western Kenya, we people in Northern Kenya, we the people of the coast, we the people of the mountain, all of these conversations are about, in case, and since for sure we cannot have a presidential candidate from our side, how can we consolidate a vote, and within that consolidate a collective bargaining for our people, be it economically, be it in terms of representation, so that we know we have a slice of the political pie that is being divided, which is correct, because politics is fundamentally about the division of resources. But what I find funny, sincerely, is this: that number one, when the BBI was addressing the issue of resources to central Kenya, it was a very bad animal. Now, all of central Kenya, including Moses Kuria, who was against the BBI, is talking about, number one, jobs for our boys, number two, resources to central Kenya. And this is because, and I said this on this show, that some of the ideas in BBI cannot be killed, because the issue of one man, one shilling is going to affect every county and every single politician in this country. The issue of representation is going to affect everyone. What I'm waiting for next is the gender question and what is going to happen. But the only way, again, out of this for a lot of these politicians is coming together as a region and creating a collective bargain, so that when that coalition conversation is happening, you are there. That's what Moses is fighting for. That's what Ukur Yatani is fighting for.
But this region is very different. It cannot be compared to any other, because even their voting patterns are very different. They have what they call negotiated democracy within their own localized politics. So when they come out like this to actually declare and say this is our spokesman, this is most probably people believe that this is cast in stone.
Well, first of all, what I've seen in that story is a spirited effort by leaders in this country to spit on the Constitution. We do not respect the worth of the Constitution and the paper it's written on. When we said that we do not want cabinet secretaries to engage in active politics, we intended to mean business. Ukur Yatani is not meaning business. The DPP is not meaning business by respecting the Constitution that even has him in office. Why are they engaging in active politics? We must frown upon such kind of poor public service without ethics, because they're not appreciating even what Article 232 of the Constitution is. Yes, the northern part of this country has got very unique dynamics, but that's why even in the Constitution is enshrined the Equalization Fund on matters development. We must start by asking, with the execution of the Equalization Fund in the Constitution, to what extent has it now ameliorated the socioeconomic situations in that part of the country? The other thing is this, that we have seen since the advent of devolution, various countries coming together to form regional economic blocks. For example, there is the Lake Basin economic bloc, we have got the Nareb economic bloc, the Pwani, etc. But we need to come to a point where negotiating about the development interests of a particular area is not informed by the ethnic interests. So that if it's a question of the economic bloc, actually it will be very fascinating to see now counties and county leaders making arguments about the regional economic interests where those regions are not mapped on the ethnic map alone. So that it is about the entire region as the economic bloc is for the interests of the counties, not the people and the tribal chiefs. Okay. Here what we've been seeing is a question of propagating and sustaining narrow political interests and the playing of politics by even the DPP. This is something that we must actually frown upon. The other thing is this, that it's a question of political survival. With the exit of President Kenyatta after he finishes his second term, some people working in his cabinet don't know what will happen to them. Now they want to get into active politics. So they're trying to prepare the path for themselves for political survival and significance and relevance in this country. When we see the DPP, we know that even as he's making this argument, his brother is at the heart of the political interests in the northern part. What is his stake? Now, for example, today, if there is a criminal issue facing one of the top politicians in that region, the DPP is angled with them within that fabric of political interests that they have been advancing. Will he, in a way so impartial, advance the cause of his office? So we must actually see the need to respect the pillars and the frameworks of good governance in this country, not expecting the president and other people to do it. We must actually demand that leaders must respect the worth of our laws, our statutes especially, and the Constitution, because that is our roadmap.
Yeah, but of course, do you expect the president to actually loosen his hand when it comes to his cabinet secretaries and tell them you cannot be allowed to comment on a political platform because you are working as a member of my cabinet?
I recall when President Kenyatta and his deputy William Samoei Ruto were appointed into office, and when they were naming their cabinets, they were in red ties and white shirts and what appeared to be grey trousers. Then they indicated in black and white that the only two politicians who will be in the cabinet would be the president and his deputy. Then they appointed Balala and Charity Ngilu. Then they said these personalities will not be participating in active politics. Obviously, those words did not mean anything. It's so sad today that the CS for National Treasury is engaged in active politics. That is mobilizing members of parliament, National Assembly and Senate, and public servants of his region to actively participate in national politics. That is a breach of Article 10 and Chapter 6. So essentially, you're having members of the national cabinet assaulting the Constitution. A few days ago, we had a regional commissioner going back to his village and saying that I'm going to be running for governor. There are many cabinet secretaries today holding very powerful dockets who are forming political parties using MPs from their villages because they want to start negotiating either with Raila Odinga or Musalia Mudavadi or Jimmy Wanjigi. Now, we know that politicians are very selfish. These cabinet secretaries are very selfish. They will not resign on their own motion. For one reason, they cannot operate outside the government ecosystem. Because believe you me, when Ukur Yatani goes to that part of the world for his campaigns, who's paying for his bills? It's Mora who is paying for those bills. Now, instead of Ukur Yatani addressing our economic issues, our monetary issues, our fiscal issues, is in the campaign. And this is not limited to Ukur Yatani. A few days ago, MPs from a part of the village, they said they want to form a political party so that they can use it to negotiate with Raila Odinga. And we understand that there's a powerful cabinet secretary behind it. So in my view, if President Kenyatta wanted to run a tight ship, he's now got a unique opportunity to implement a reshuffle today. Because, for instance, that regional commissioner is a region has got a crisis. Laikipia is in the middle of a crisis. So should he be paying priority to the security crisis in his part of the world, or he goes back to the village for campaigns? In my view, the president must respect Kenyans, and respecting Kenyans includes making sure that members of his cabinet do not assault the Constitution. So all these public servants, they have to take a decision whether or not they're going to serve President Kenyatta in the cabinet or public servants of rank, or they go into proactive campaigns. And we've got a good example. Professor Kiapi, when he wanted to run for president, he went to his boss and he told President Kibaki, I want to run. It's been nice serving you. Please give me authority. And he resigned. He went, he did his campaigns. Okay. All these cabinet secretaries who cannot survive outside the government have to take a decision whether they're going to run for office or whether they're going to serve Kenyans.
Okay, and I know you would want to comment on that, but because we're still continuing with another region of which you started on, the Mount Kenya region, because the understanding is that the law has also given provision on when civil public servants should exit the public service and begin official campaigns, and the IEBC could argue as well that it is yet to declare the beginning of official campaigns. But now let's take a look at the quest to unite the Mount Kenya region, which has been making headlines this past week. I think it was on Monday. It was on Monday that we got this happening in Naivasha, where Martha Karua, Moses Kuria and Mwangi Kiunjuri met under the Uniting Mount Kenya Forum, and after that they named the NA Kenya party leader Martha Karua as the official spokesperson of that umbrella. That in itself is a huge political statement. Martha Karua having had bigger political ambitions in the past. She could still harbor those ambitions. Right now it is said she wants to run for governor of Kirinyaga, a hotly contested seat that has pushed even the current governor to actually switch allegiances and move to UDA. But let's start with the person of Martha Karua, this formation around the Uniting Mount Kenya Forum.
Well, first and foremost, I would like to congratulate Martha Karua for making one big step in her career, where she's finally working with people. She's looking outside NAK Kenya to work with other people, including the likes of Kiunjuri, who were fired under strange circumstances. But that is a step forward for her in her career. She has successfully revamped her career, and now suddenly Mount Kenya is looking to her as a possible is it a queen pin to replace the Mudamakiness of Uhuru Kenyatta, which is good for her career. But now let us look at the politics and the dynamics of Central Kenya. Central Kenya first has a lot of politicians who have personal interests. Sitting governors who want to get a second term. We've got PSs and CSs who we here want to take a stab at election leadership in Mount Kenya. Then you've got people like Kabogo and the rest who have a lot of clout in the region, Peter Kenneth and the rest, and they're trying to find where they sit. Then you've got the Mutai Kagwes of the day sitting and wondering which is the next move. So all of this simply creates a melting pot of different interests, whether it be they regional or personal, that must then answer the question that since Mount Kenya seems to be unable and will not be able by prediction to present a credible presidential candidate, and no offense to the Jimmy and Jiges and Muturis of the day, since that credible challenge does not exist, how then does the mountain A hold together if it can, and B, if it has held together, collectively bargain for itself a sizable chunk of government revenues and resources and representation to give to themselves and their people further economic and political good fortune. This is the irony because, and again I go back to the BBI, and I'm sorry for the people from Mount Kenya watching me, but when the BBI was giving them over 30 MPs, what were they doing? Why were they sleeping? Because the BBI, in my view, if there was a community that should have selfishly run with it, it is Mount Kenya. But it is those same issues that BBI tried to deliver to the mountain that are now key and foremost in the mouths of Moses Kuria and Martha Karua herself, who were against it. And therefore, I would like to welcome them to the school of thought that I have held for the longest time. that there are issues that need to be addressed. Those issues include the fair and accurate representation of people within the National Assembly, because it is a house of representation, and two, the issue of the equitable distribution of resources across the counties, just the same way as the Equalization Fund aims to equalize the marginalized communities.
There are those who argue that probably many of these leaders are simply positioning themselves for the opportunity to probably be picked as a running mate by one of the major presidential